Hi, I'm Ivy, and today we're opening a file that West Virginia has spent 60 years trying to lock back up.
You almost caught me rearranging my little collection of missing things, and today we're opening a file that West Virginia has spent 60 years to lock back up. What she found in those woods that night, I still haven't told anyone, but I will, next time.
On November 15th, 1966, something 7 feet tall stood near an abandoned munitions plant in West Virginia and chased a car at 100 miles an hour. I've opened this file more times than I can count, and I still don't want to believe the answers people came up with to explain it. I keep these pages locked away because they smell like ozone and dry autumn leaves. People always want an explanation. They want a neat little bow on a terrifying package. But when you spend decades turning over the same handful of reports from Point Pleasant, the neat little answers start to fray at the edges. Scientists looked at the descriptions: 7 feet tall, a wingspan like a cloak, red eyes glowing in the dark like twin embers, and they pointed to the skies. They said it was just a bird out of place, a sandhill crane maybe, standing nearly 4 feet tall with a 6-foot wingspan and a patch of crimson skin around its eyes that could catch the headlights just right. Except a sandhill crane doesn't run alongside a speeding Chevrolet at midnight without flapping its wings. It doesn't stand broad-shouldered and heavy against a concrete wall. Then came the biologists, offering up the barn owl, pale, silent, hunting in the dark with eyes that reflect amber and red when caught in a beam of light. A large barn owl startled in the headlights can look enormous, terrifying, monstrous if your imagination is already stretched thin. But barn owls don't outrun cars, and they don't linger under street lamps with an intelligence that makes a grown man drop his steering wheel in sheer panic. The measurements never quite fit the feathers. The biology always stretches too thin. So the psychologists moved in when the bird theories started to crack. They sat behind clean wooden desks and called it mass hysteria. They talked about collective anxiety in a Cold War winter when everyone in America was waiting for the sky to fall anyway. They said the local newspapers fed the fire, printing headline after headline until the town was practically hallucinating in unison. It sounds tidy, it sounds clean, except the first witnesses didn't read the papers because the papers hadn't printed a single word yet. 2 young couples saw it standing by the old North Power Plant before the town even knew it had a name. Fear isn't contagious until someone tells you what to be afraid of. These people weren't infected by a headline. They were just driving home in the dark. And then there are the ones who look past the biology and the psychology, staring straight into the folklore. The old ones in the valley who remember stories their grandfathers whispered about winged shapes in the timber before the state lines were even drawn. They call it an omen, a shadow that arrives only when something heavy is about to drop. They look at the months leading to December of 1967, and they whisper about a warning that no one knew how to read until the bridge fell. Science wants feathers, psychology wants a nervous crowd, folklore wants a messenger from the dark, but none of them account for the stillness in the woods right after the sightings stopped. The air didn't just go quiet, it went dead. The documents from the Air Force investigators are heavily redacted at the edges. Ink spills over paragraphs like spilled wine. They interviewed the sheriff, they questioned the teenagers, and then they closed the folders and walked away with their hands in their pockets, pretending they hadn't seen the notes scribbled in the margins by men who were genuinely rattled. The skeptics think they've won because the creature hasn't been photographed clearly in decades, but absence of proof is not absence of presence. Sometimes a legend doesn't vanish because it was solved, it vanishes because it finished what it came to do. What happens to a town when the noise finally dies down and the reporters pack up their typewriters? They are left staring at the empty road, wondering if the shadow ever really left the tree line, or if it just learned to blend into the dark.
Don't wander off too far while you're thinking about it. Because the part of the file they didn't want anyone reading, well, I'm looking at it right now.
Look at the maps of Mason County from that winter. The sightings clustered tight around the TNT area, an abandoned wartime depot filled with concrete igloos and chemical runoff. People love to point at the industrial waste and whisper about mutation, but nature doesn't carve a 7-foot silhouette out of toxic sludge just because a government department left their trash behind. The psychological experts want us to believe that fear is a creative architect. They say if you stare into the dark long enough, your own mind will build the monster for you. But the physical evidence left behind on the asphalt didn't come from anyone's imagination. Car tires squealed, headlights caught something solid. Witnesses threw up from the sheer adrenaline spike of locking eyes with a face that had no business existing. If it was a hoax, someone pulled off the greatest practical joke in American history without a single confession, without a single prop found in a barn, and without a single person slipping up over 50 years of interviews. People boast about their lies eventually. They get old, they get soft, and they want the credit. Nobody has ever stepped forward to claim the wings. If it was just a displaced bird, why did the local dogs refuse to leave their porches for weeks? Why did the radio interference spike in the exact moments the creature was reported down the road? The physics of the encounters never quite align with a simple case of mistaken identity. And yet, the paranormal theory has its own dead ends. If it was a harbinger, a supernatural shadow sent to stand on the edge of town before tragedy struck, why appear to teenagers driving to a dance months before anything happened? Why waste the warning so early? Why pace back and forth like a caged animal if its only purpose was to deliver a grim postcard from the future? The theories cancel each other out. The biologist disproves the psychologist dismisses the folklorist, and the folklorist laughs at them both for thinking a creature like that cares about human categories. If you ask me, after staring at these faded police reports and typed statements until my eyes ache, I don't think any of the standard boxes fit. The skeptics are too eager to explain away the terror because a world with monsters in it is an inconvenient place to live. But the believers sometimes force a shape onto the dark that doesn't belong there either. The truth usually hides in the cold, unyielding space, right between what science can measure and what fear can exaggerate. So tell me, looking at the wreckage of all these explanations, which one feels more terrifying to you? The idea that a strange bird fooled a panicked town, or the terrifying possibility that something old and nameless simply stepped out of the woods to see what we were becoming? Leave your theory below. I read every single one, and I'm curious which lie you prefer to tell yourself in the dark. Make sure you're subscribed too, because I keep my files close. Because beneath all the scientific papers and the newspaper clippings, there is one report from a farmhouse on the outskirts of Point Pleasant that was never published. A page I found tucked into the back of a completely different case file, dated 3 days after the bridge fell. And the last sentence written on that page, well, I'll show you that part next time.